Hello and welcome to the Epilogue with Sihle Bolani. On today's show, we're going to be tackling a very tricky subject, and that's around Black professionals and their ability to create communities within the workplace. Joining me for today's conversation is Phumeza Langa, who is a PR communications consultant, a freelance writer, and the host of the Twitter chat hashtag Sisterhood Hour. Phumeza, welcome and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for the invitation.
So, the disconnectedness of Black professionals in the workplace, do you think this is a real thing, or is it just a generalization that's become widely used?
It's a definite real thing. It's very present, and you can feel it. And you can see it in the way that the interaction takes place between Black people in the workplace. There's the I'm speaking to a white person phase, then there's the speaking to another Black person. And it's the way that we support one another when it gets really tricky in the workplace. And when you try to, for me especially, if I was trying to voice out a concern, if I'd speak to somebody else, another Black person, they'd be like, no, but maybe you're taking it a bit too personally. Maybe you're thinking of it in a different way. Have you looked at it in all angles? And for me, I'd never try go bull in a china shop kind of thing if there was an issue. I would look at different angles and make sure that I'm not being too sensitive about an issue too sensitive.
Right.
So a lot of the time there is that disconnectedness, and you end up feeling alone because who else is going to stand up with you?
Right.
Because you're looking to your fellow Black colleagues to understand what you're talking about and understand what you're going through, because you think they're going through the same thing, but a lot of people want to just keep quiet and just like, no, I'm not trying to cause issues. Let me just do what I need to do and get out of here.
What do you think are some of the contributing factors to this disconnectedness that we're experiencing?
Survival.
Right.
People are just trying to survive. There's a major issue of distrust. We don't trust each other as Black people in the workplace because you try and understand what's your angle. Like, why are you trying to be nice? Why are you trying to find out what's going on in my world? Why are you trying to find out if I'm happy with a particular individual in the organization? And it's so unfortunate because at the end of the day, we forget that we are very powerful in the workplace. And we forget our own power, because if it wasn't for us being where we are in the organization, there wouldn't be an organization.
Right.
It's about the people who are there. So the issue of being distrustful it's huge, because no one wants to have those honest conversations anymore, because you'll go into the kitchen and you'll want to vent, but then you'll now watch what you say, because heaven forbid it goes back to certain corners within the organization. And I even had to do it myself, where I had to watch what I say to who I said it to. And sometimes I'll just keep quiet because I'm thinking, you know what, I can't now be sitting in front of somebody and have to explain why I'm feeling what I'm feeling and why I said word for word in a lot of instances where they'll quote you to say, but you said this, and you think, but how do you know that?
Yeah, right? Yeah, I think one of the biggest challenges that I had was thinking that you can talk to people who understand context and understand nuances because they're Black. So they for sure would have experienced something similar, if not the exact same thing. So you would think that they would be a safe place for you to be able to either vent or to get advice or, some tips on how to deal with these issues that come up within the workplace.
You would think that and understand where you're coming from, because I also had those kind of interactions where I think that, especially someone senior, a lot of the time you think, okay, but if I'm presenting a certain scenario or situation and this is what's happened, you would think that they would look at the situation as a Black person, but as a Black person in an organization that you're in, because they understand the organization that you're both in. And also you would expect them to think of it from it's a non-color, it's a non-gender issue, this is the issue and how do we tackle it. And in the last organization I worked at, when I eventually said, when I was asked, okay, but when people leave a company, they don't necessarily leave this and that and that. One of the things, you leave the manager.
Right.
And I was like, cool, I get you. I completely understand, and thank you for opening that door, because then I was like, this is what's been going on. And there was a moment when I looked at the person, it was a Black person, and I thought, you don't get it. Or you get it, but you won't say that you get it, because maybe you think I'll say so-and-so understands, and they said that they understand, because everybody's trying to safeguard their little piece of the pie in whatever way that they can. And that's frustrating, because then you can't really have true and honest conversations. You can't feel like you can go to somebody in a senior position and say, this is my issue, I don't understand how to tackle it. Is it a race thing? Is it a culture thing? Is it a we're not gelling, me and my supervisor or manager? Like, what is it, and how can I now take the situation and find a way to move forward? Because what you're trying to do is find a solution, because you don't want to, at the end of the day, be like, you know what, whatever, and walk out. You want to make sure that you've tried every single thing to find a solution, and if you really can't, then walk away. Yeah.
So you've started hashtag Sisterhood Hour, which takes place on Twitter every Wednesday, and it has become this calendar event. It really has become an event that so many women take part in and participate in on a weekly basis. What was your intention with starting that platform?
Honestly, it was really a case of having conversations that I wanted to have. Initially, it was having the conversations that I have with my girlfriends and saying, look, this is my event today, you know, this is what's going on in my space. And we'd have the conversations as women, as girlfriends, and then you carry on with life. You either find a solution and then you move forward, or you still try to work it out for yourself. And then once I realized that a lot of the conversations that were taking place, everybody's having those conversations in a different way. Whether it's your career, whether it's family, whether it's marriage, whether it's your children, whether it's what are you trying to do in this world? What is your little space that you're trying to create for yourself? And it was those conversations you have privately, and now it's publicly. And trying to find ways to get people to share a little bit, but not instead of just venting, but find the solutions for ourselves, and a solution that works for each individual, because you can have that one idea of saying, this is how I can fix the problem or look for a way forward, but you need to understand my situation is different from yours. So it's being able to also create that sense of belonging, because people always think that when they're going through something, they're all alone. And they don't realize that a lot of other people have been in the same situation and found a way forward. Other people are still going through it, and other people are probably going to still get to that stage. And it's just creating a community of connectedness, because you think that you're all alone in the world with your one little issue. Or for you, it's your big issue, so no issue. But it's now to say, let's talk about it. Let's find a solution. Let's create a space where it's actually quite safe for you to share what you need to share, and to share as much as you can without feeling any sort of judgment.
And what have some of the observations been since you've started Sisterhood Hour and kind of just watched it grow?
People just want to talk. They want to share. They want to be able to say, I've been through it, or I know someone who's been through it, and this is how they worked it out, this is how I worked it out, and to be able to have that sense of vulnerability, because we all walk around with this, I can do everything, I'm fine, everything
got it all together, darling,
I'm dancing, singing down the streets, everything's great in life. And there are very few people in our lives that we can actually say, no,
I'm struggling,
I'm not okay. And social media sometimes gives that perception that everything's perfect. You know, everybody looks great. Everybody's living their best lives, literally. And if you look a little deeper, and you sometimes you're like, but is it really that great? And if it's great, awesome, perfect, wonderful, I'm glad for you. But we need to be honest with the fact that, you know, life is not perfect. Life is not what we see on social media. Life is not what we sometimes want to portray. Because a lot of the time you'll ask somebody, so how are you doing? And in their mind, they're automatically trying to think, okay, wait, how am I doing today? Like, really, how am I doing? And the answer will be either good or fine. I've done it. Where I'm literally like, no, I'm fine. You know, I'm like, I'm having a meltdown. But I need a safe space to have that meltdown.
Absolutely.
And afterwards, what happens? And I think a lot of the time we get stuck in that, I'm in this situation, I can't figure out what the solution is. And sometimes all you have to say is like, guys, I'm struggling. I don't know what to do. And you'll be surprised when people will say, actually, like, have you tried this? Are you crying? You know, are you having a meltdown? Are you allowing yourself to actually not be okay? What are the solutions? What have you thought about? Reach out, DM me. This is what I do. Let's talk. Let's collaborate.